Okay, so Dr. Brimhall, he's been married to his beautiful wife, Holly, for 23 years. They've got 4 children ranging from the ages of 20 to 12. He's been in clinical practice for 19 years and has been training healthcare providers all over the world since 1995. He and his father pioneered the 16 steps to wellness. He has also been part of teaching and creating nutritional supplements and chiropractor tools and techniques. How's that for a tongue twister? His passion of helping people achieve their full potential in health and wellness. He has a passion for helping people in achieving their full potential in health and wellness, and now expanding to helping people with their wealth as well. In 2014, he had a paradigm shift when he saw changes in a patient that he had worked with over a year with this new breakthrough technology. He is on the scientific advisory board for the company, and he's excited about sharing these life-changing science and opportunity with the world. So with that said, I've personally known Dr. B for, golly gee, 3 or 4 years plus now.
4.
Yeah, and it's just been an incredible experience, the wealth of knowledge that you bring to the table. So with that said, let's go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right, rock and roll. And I actually appreciate you, Brenda, inviting me and letting me do this. It's just the opportunity to help be a part of this this technology and this company, and really the individuals like you and Randy and Linda and her husband, and just the opportunity we have to kind of work together to spread this message now, to get a chance to meet Michael and his wife. And the thing you sent me that really just kind of resonated really well with me, with I kind of asked you a little bit about them and who they are and what they're doing, and just the concept of really wanting to have the best of everything under one roof to be able to help people. Right. So when my dad began clinical practice in 1971, like he learned everything he possibly could. So he wanted to help people the best he could. And so that's what eventually turned into that what we call the 6 steps to wellness. Because at first it was just physical stuff. Right. Then he learned that there's nutritional components missing, and he wasn't able to help certain people. So he started studying nutrition a ton in the early 70s. And there's some people he wasn't helping with that. So that got delved him into like craniosacral work, and that got him delved into emotional work, and just it's kept expanding from there, and then formulating supplements. And so when you wrote about just how they really want to integrate all of those different things, that's literally what this is all about, learning as much as we can from everybody. And really my filter, as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, then we'll utilize it. And so I really never thought I'd be part of a network marketing company. It wasn't something I thought I would do, but so grateful that when someone referred Carrie Williams to me years ago, the physician I trained that lived in Iowa, because she wanted to help her child that was diagnosed with autism at 2. And she literally was coming to see me, and she had traveled an hour each way and doing 35 hours of therapy on top of that a week, because she had time and financial resources, but she was looking for the right people to help her unlock her child. It wasn't until the Axial came out, which we'll hit on here in a minute, that literally he unfolded in front of my eyes. After working with him every week for a year, 11 days into him starting that product, all of a sudden he just started unlocking and literally came alive to where he was remembering stuff that he had learned several years previously. His behavior drastically changed, his ability to learn, retain, and recall drastically changed. And so it started me on a whole new journey. And I think about now the lives that we've been on the part of touching, because of a difficulty of a young man, that he was this little boy and what he was having, that led to really impacting thousands of lives. So I'm grateful to be a part of this process, and I'm excited to share this information. So I'm going to do a high overview, but probably a little more in depth in some of the science because of some of the things you've asked me. And then at the end, we can kind of maybe do a little Q&A, which normally I don't do, so we'll kind of hold the questions there to the end, and we'll do that. So with that, I'm going to share my screen, hopefully everything works right that way. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get rolling. Okay. All right. Here we go. And we're going to talk about this whole concept of biohacking, and we're going to talk about the 3 theories of aging and how that relates. And this is why this is so important to me. My life's been changed multiple times, obviously with the story of the little boy I was telling you about, it changed, but I spent 25 years training physicians, and this concept of biohacking has opened up a whole new avenue for me. and how in which we make supplements with this company is a whole new avenue for me. Back in 2008, my mom passed away from cancer, and rocked my world and my dad's world drastically, because we were out there teaching physicians how to take care of people and help them get better. You know, things that she struggled with, and she eventually passed from, her people we worked with that had the same struggles. So it really made you dig deep into, okay, what did we miss? How did we miss it? Like, what do we need to do differently? And the more I've understood and studied biohacking, as I was doing it, the concept of hijacking came to mind. My mom, she passed away in her early 60s. Her mom was 97, her dad was 93. So genetically speaking, she should have had a phenomenal longevity. She never smoked, she never drank. The only bad habit she had was my dad, right? But literally her life was cut short because of environmental exposure that she was exposed to when she was a youth, which we learned later through genetic testing and just research. So when you guys hear what we're going to talk about, it's going to literally give us an ability to unlock the potential that's inside of ourselves to even a higher degree than what we currently have been. And I'm excited about that. So, but the concept of the science is nutrigenomics, nutrition and how it affects genes. Because my mom being the youngest of 10 kids, none of those 10 kids have outlived their parents. The oldest was 85 when he passed. So environment is jacking with our genetics drastically. So we need things like this and science being developed like this to tie into our body's ability to heal and repair in the way we did it. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with watching a video that's going to go through and kind of understand where this science began. And I want you to think about it like this. You know, this first iPhone was developed in 2007, and you think about how this has changed every industry and really how we do everything is because of this technology difference. So we're going to talk about a technology that's in the healthcare field that's literally, in my mind, very much like this. It's a communication device that allows us to tap into the world in different ways than we ever could before and allow everybody to tap into it differently. What we're learning about here is a technology about communication, cellular technology and cellular communication to tap into, to turn on the right switches in the right way in the right times, combined synergistically to affect our body's potential drastically. So when you watch this video, keep that in mind. Like, if this is really real, who needs this now? How is this going to impact me and my family and my loved ones? And then what if I see the opportunity to share that information and impact more lives and develop an income stream away from maybe your practice or from your other place in your life to help impact more lives? So, and we'll kind of come back and fill all of the gaps. So here we go.
You want to get an edge on turning back the clock?
You hear that?
Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment. For me, it begins with a blood test. The first time I've given blood to this company. They want to check out something called T-bar. It's a rough indicator of actual age. T-bar is kind of a condition of radicals react with all the components of our cells, literally bombarding them millions of times per second, damaging all our cells. The result, oxidative stress. We all have it. The body fights back with a system of defenses. It makes two antioxidant enzymes, catalase and SOD, whose job is to gobble up the free radicals before they can harm our cells. So, doctor, how often do I take this? And so, here I go. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment. It's called Protendive, and tests have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us. Normally, oxidative stress measured by those T-bars increases with age, but taking just one pill of Protendive a day reverse that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old. So just what's in this seemingly incredible pill? Well, actually, its roots are very humble.
Okay, so Brenda's saying that the recording is pretty rough, and it may be the Wi-Fi. I'm actually up in the mountains, and so because of that, I don't want it to. I mean, cut out is kind of hard to get the point out. So Brenda, they can watch that afterwards. I think that'd be better. And then we can kind of add that into the recording later. So, but let me kind of recap what happened in that video, because and I can try to do a good job with it. So what happened? ABC caught wind that there was this research being done where they literally talked about how in which they could slow the aging process down. Based upon a new technology. And what they found is, okay, let's put it, we're gonna send a scientist in there, and we're gonna, or not a scientist, a reporter in there, and they're gonna draw their blood, and we're gonna see if it really works. Because what they said was, you couldn't tell the difference between somebody's blood work between an 80-year-old and a 20-year-old, which obviously that shouldn't be the case. You should be vastly different, because we know we age faster as we get older because our systems don't work as well. What they found that to be exactly true. And literally, John Quinones' labs, when they came back, that level of what's called oxidative stress had dropped 45% in 2 weeks, right? And so what that led to was universities from around the globe wanting to study Protandim, NRF2, the actual product, not the ingredients in the product, the actual product, in relationship to oxidative stress as it relates to hundreds of illnesses, right? And so as I think about how unique that is, my dad is the primary formulator over 200 different vitamin mineral supplements. And we have no peer-reviewed published studies on any of those products specifically. There's studies that are some of the ingredients in the products, but not the products themselves. So it's phenomenally unique to have a nutritional supplement that is designed and had been studied by universities around the globe. I remember having a conversation one time with the CEO of the company and said, how are they making these products? Because I knew how we made them. We research it, we'd look at clinical results, we'd kind of just to take different products we were using at the time, and we do different laboratory tests to kind of look at and see what happened clinically. Well, guys, these are born out of science. We don't have to guess if these are doing what they're doing because we know it happened intracellular. So the power of having those studies being done in vitro, where we know what's happening inside the cell, and then to have the power of using them clinically, it's just a great win-win thing that we could never do clinically in science. I could not test my products in a cell culture to see if it really did things that we thought it did inside the cell, let alone inside the human, right? But what happened, that led to studies being done all across the world on Protandim NRF2 specifically in relationship to hundreds of illnesses. We'll kind of touch on a few of them here. So what happened at that time when that video aired, roughly $5 million in orders came in a short period of time, but because the company was ran by doctors and scientists, literally most of those orders went unfulfilled because they could only produce a small amount of product. So you think how upset we get when we don't get our Amazon Prime the same day. Like months later, they still didn't have the product out. They didn't have a marketing team in place. And we know doctor's offices, I have one, right? And you guys have one. Like, it's hard to keep the system running smoothly, right? So what they did, they were excited about the science, but they didn't know how to market. So they tried to sell it on the shelves, the GNC and other stores like that. Literally did not do well. It was on the same shelf with vitamin C. Like, I don't recommend people ever go to a health food store to get a vitamin or anything else like that, because you go in there, even to vitamin D, and there's hundreds of choices. How do they know which one is the most effective, the most potent, and the most pure? You have no idea, right? And so they had it on the same shelf with other antioxidants, and this is not an antioxidant, it's not a supplement, it's an activator. So the difference between a supplement and an activator is what these are, is supplements support a deficiency. An activator turned on a switch. So I liken this very much to my own kids and their income. I want to activate their ability to make money versus supplementing their income forever. I don't want to do that. Okay, but the same as intracellular. I want my cells to be activated to do and perform as they should. I don't want to constantly support or supplement them. Okay, same thing we do as in clinicians and in offices, whether I'm a therapist or a chiropractor. Like, I want to support and help activate their system and then teach them the right behaviors with foods and exercises and therapies that they can maintain themselves and grow from that, not constantly just need me to fix them, okay? So, but from in my vantage, when they had to end up switching distribution methods from a retail and online to network marketing, which was word of mouth. And so that's how I built my practice as well. Me helping people, them referring people to me. So when they switched distribution methods back in 2009, the company went from a $9 million company to over $200 million company. Okay, because it changed how the information was put out in front of people where they could share the story, because the story is very, very unique. So here's the picture that shows some of the universities that have studied Protandim Nrf2 specifically. If you want to look them up, you can go to a website called PubMed, pubmed.gov, and you can see these published studies. I actually tell people to go what's called biohackandactivate.com, because there's links to the majority of the studies there with that video that didn't play. So you can go watch it too. And I like that there because it allows people to go and see those studies and research them if they want. Okay. But what's fascinating about this, we have universities spending their own money, giving validation to what we're doing, which is very, because I've done tons of supplements in my practice, but I could never say, hey, you know what? Journal of Circulation, American Heart Association journal, literally backed this product, right? You can't, that didn't happen, but we have that with this. All right, so what is oxidative stress? Oxidative stress is the process called aging. We're all gonna age. You wanna age fast or slow, right? So in metal, we call oxidative stress, we call that rusting. In humans, it depends on what body part. If it happens in the joint, we tend to call it arthritis. If it happens in the heart, we might call it heart disease. If it happens in the eye, we might call it macular degeneration or cataracts, okay? So that's the process of aging. It happens in all of us. The speed at which it happens has to do with how well your systems function and how much stress you put upon it, right? So all those systems, like an athlete, you know, athletes have higher levels of oxidative stress because they're pushing their systems higher and faster, right? So what we want to do is, how are we going to combat that oxidative stress levels, right? Because we have it, so now how are you going to combat it? So we have a choice. We can either activate the cellular responses or we can supplement it. I prefer activation. And the way I liken this, if we know this problem is big, if there's a fire going inside your body or inside your house, you have a choice between calling the fire department or turning on the sprinkler system inside your cells. Intracellular changes will have to happen fast, because even if the fire department showed up, there'd be a lot of damage already done before they even got there. God put a mechanism in us that allows those cells to respond to that stress appropriately, right? Because if it doesn't respond appropriately, it can turn into an autoimmune problem. And we'll kind of touch on that as well. So here's what it is. This is Protandim Nrf2. It combats that cellular stress through what's an Nrf2 activate or a switch. We can say, and FDA allows us to say, this reduces oxidative stress in humans by an average of 40% in 30 days. That's very unique. You can't make a claim like that unless it's approved, because it's been shown in studies. And we have that. On top of that, we have a 10-year study independently funded where it shows that it extended lifespan, not just lifespan, but health span. Now, this protein Nrf2 is on the cell membrane that literally turned on the switches throughout the whole cell to turn on your body's ability to produce antioxidants to help clean up the bad guys. It activates by cellular genes. You'll see there's a couple of certifications there that are really, really important to us. NSS and BSCG. NSF relates more to really the quality and the purity of the product, okay, which is huge in manufacturing. Like, I want to know that what I think's in that bottle is in that bottle, and there's nothing else. And then if I put somebody on it, it's going to be the same today as it will be in 2 weeks to 2 years to 5 years. I want that. The BSCG is what allows professional athletes and collegiate athletes to take this, because it's part of that. That needs to be on the bottle for them to safely take it, not affect their scholarship or their career. The NIH link there, that relates to the National Institutes of Aging. That was the part of the government study that was conducted through the National Institutes of Aging, National Institutes of Health, that showed the 10-year study showing an increase in longevity, okay? So here's really what this all comes down to. It's a concept of what's known as synergy. Just like you mentioned in that text earlier, the synergy of having multiple specialties in one place, working with that one individual, would allow them not only to get better quicker, but repair more permanently and educate them properly and not coming back into you. That synergy matters. The synergy matters. So one of the questions became is, well, I can go buy all the different ingredients that are in Protandim Nrf2 and I can do the same thing. Well, you can try, right? But what they wanted to know is which one of those ingredients was really making it work. Well, guess what they found out? When you take the individual ingredients, you look at the activation of the expression of a very specific gene that helps cell repair, each individual ingredient was a very small inducer, but when you combine them in a very specific ratio, it was an 18 times increase. So synergy absolutely matters. And that makes sense, because even when we're making a meal or bread or anything like that, you got to put the right ingredients at the right time, in the right way, in the right amounts, at the right temperature in order to get the results that you want. That's the exact same with it. It took them years to find that combination and to understand that the cells have these responses. Once they did, the response has been drastically different. Okay. So here's really where it lies and how big a deal this is. The switch of NRF2, when you look at the research across the globe, Washington State kind of pulled all the research, said, you know what, how big a deal is this whole idea of nutrigenomics and activation? So NRF2 is the master switch or regulator of detoxification of the cell, antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, cytoprotection mechanism, right? That's its main job. And you read that small print, you'll see pretty much every condition that you can think of is related to that. And they say, you know what, this is what we believe. We believe that NRF2 this activation of NRF2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. Let that sink in a little bit. Like when I think about that, there's a lot of really cool things that have happened in medicine. Like a lot of cool techniques. I mean, the 6 steps to wellness my dad and I use, and I'm sure you guys have phenomenal techniques, super cool stuff. But Washington State's saying this is the biggest thing when it comes to therapy and prevention. And we get the opportunity to utilize that in our cells now for prevention. So guess what? I don't take this because of a problem that I have, right? I didn't even expect to feel anything, right? I've always done chiropractic and try to eat good and exercise, not because I feel something. It's because I don't want to feel something. Like I don't want to feel what I see people feel that are coming to my practice. I don't want to be where I can't pick somebody up, or I don't want to be someone that can't get out of bed in the morning. I don't want to be somebody that's so depressed and so tired or so anxious that they can't do things, right? And I've watched them unfold as I've done the right things to get their systems back working again. So I work on the side of prevention for myself personally, and my own kids and my family prevention. But I've watched tons of people therapeutically respond because I've activated these switches. And I'm going to talk about just a couple of specific ones because I think it really helps bring home a point for me, and it's part of what's really brought a lot of passion for me. One of those individuals was the lady that came to me, 15 plus years ago. She came to me by referral from a doctor that I trained in Georgia, and she moved to Arizona. Her first diagnosis was multiple sclerosis. After the birth of her third child, 6 weeks after that, she went blind in her one eye. And so she went through a roller coaster of health over the years before she started seeing me. And I worked with her for a long time. 5 years ago, I started these products. So here's where she was 5 years ago. I remember a time in 2009, I just was with her last night and had her share this story, just kind of refresh my memory. In 2009, she had a relapse with MS, which is an autoimmune condition that literally attacks the nervous system. And for her, it meant she might be blind. I mean, she might have what's called wet noodle body. That's what she called it. Not be able to walk, not be able to dress. Well, this relapse, because of the stress that was going on in the world, literally ended up in her care facility. I remember walking into the care facility, and her oldest daughter at the time, I think was about 14, came out to get me because I wanted to go in and see her and work on her a little bit. And I remember walking down the hallway and thinking, what more do I have to offer? Like, I'm doing everything that I know, everything that I have been trained to do, everything I've been learning to do. I'm doing everything I possibly can. And still, she had this relapse. At that time, she was on 32 different supplements, and she started a chemo drug to suppress her immune system. And what that did was that gave her about 2.5 hours of functioning a day. And functioning for her, she called herself one task Eileen. She could get up, do something, and come back and lay down. So she was mothering and parenting and from a couch, right? But she was okay with that because she wasn't in a care facility. She could take care of herself. So 5 years ago, when I was introduced to this, when I watched this little boy literally in front of my eyes with the Axio, I called her up because she had a daughter that was diagnosed with autism. And I'd worked with her for a long time since she was really, really young. And I said, let's start her on the product. At the same time, we started her mom on the NRF2 and the Axio. Guys, last night at 9 o'clock, when I was doing this meeting with her, she was still going strong. I've watched her go from somebody that was sick all the time, having to see me between 2 and 3 times a week, to function on 32 supplements, now to functioning all day, waking up when the sun comes up, going to bed usually when the sun goes down, constantly, you know, working and building her team and helping impact lives through this, and watching her daughter make strides that I never thought were possible. So I didn't think what was happening was possible with her. Like, I literally watched, I remember her coming to me a couple months, probably 4 or 5 months into this, and she was no longer driving at night because she didn't have enough vision. So she lost a lot of her night vision, and she was driving at night again. And she's like, I'm starting to be able to see better again at night. And in my head, I'm thinking that's not supposed to happen. Like, that's not something I would expect to happen. So again, I'm reminded once again, the power that made the body, the power that heals the body, when it can just find a way to do it, right? Things happen that we don't expect. And so that's what I've seen happen in our life. But that brings a point back to this study. One of the studies that's been done, if NRF2 activation is a big deal, if this nutrigenomic is a big deal, if there's a way to activate these switches, then we could drastically possibly impact people's health in a huge way. So drug companies are making drugs to activate these different switches as well. One of them is called BG12 or Tecfidera. So when this drug was coming to market, the only other NRF2 market the only NRF2 activator on the market was Protandim NRF2, which is a natural supplement, and they want to do a comparison study. So keep in mind, a drug that took almost $1 billion to bring to market is going to be compared against a dietary supplement that costs $41 a month to take. Okay, as well as they also tested it against what's called the SFM, which is it's broccoli seed extract, because broccoli seed extract is also an NRF2 activator. The company that did this research was the drug company. This study was published in MS Journal. Okay, the summary of the study: Protandim, a dietary supplement consisting of herbal ingredients, was the most potent inducer, and therefore may be most suited to a therapeutic strategy. And if you kind of go down below that, it says, importantly, NRF2 mediated enzyme expression, it protected oligodendrocytes. It's helped the oligodendrocytes survive during oxidative stress. So what they said was Protandim NRF2, most potent inducer of NRF2, and it helped to protect nerve cells. So whether you have a neurological condition or not, like I'm okay to have my brain cells protected, and my kids and anybody else that you like, right? If you don't like them, I don't know, maybe if they took it, you'd like them more, right? So that is a huge validation. And I read that, that's one reason I talked with my friend that was first diagnosed with MS, and watching where she is today. But I think all the time, what if she had quit? Because the effects have been cumulative. Like what we saw happen in the first few months versus what's happened over the last 5 years. I think of it like this. If your body could literally heal 40% faster, if it could handle oxidative stress 40% faster, I kind of like it. What if you could make 40% more money, right? And that affected your life, right? What if you made 40% more money? Like, what debts would you pay off first? What type of stress would that relieve? What would you fix around your house without asking for your husband's permission? Okay. What would you put away for savings? And then what vacation would you take? That's the same thing with our cells and our body. Most of the time we're just getting by. But what if we literally were healing faster? What's your body going to fix first? Because it has to. And what's going to fix second or third because it wants to, right? That's powerful. And I've seen that happen clinically. I love science, think it's awesome. I can geek out over it. But what moves me to do multiple meetings this week, to be up here 3 hours, I left this morning at 7 o'clock, did a meeting at 10:30, on this call now, is the stories like Eileen's. The stories like some of the people that were in this room earlier today. Brenda's story, like people's stories of how this is allowing them to get back into life and to be the people that they've been designed to be and be better. Like that's what moves me to action. The science is cool, but that's what moves me to action. So I'm going to kind of go through some of the other switches we now understand and are passionate about. Because if there is one switch, just like there might be more than one app on your phone you like to utilize, right? I don't need to know how, I don't need to know the ins and outs of this, like how exactly it works. But I darn it better charge it. I better pay my bill, right? And I better know which app does what. So all you have to know with this is have enough knowledge of what it's doing. But main thing people have to do, they just have to put it in their body, right? No matter how good of a chiropractor I am, no matter how good of a therapist that I am, unless I can work on that body, it doesn't do them any good, right? So they have to somehow, you have to get in the person. So there's a couple of the switches I want to hit on and show you how they combine together. So another switch is called the NRF1 switch. NRF1 switch controls our body's mitochondrial functions. That's our energy production. All right. So when the mitochondria work right, it controls the chromosomes. It controls the body's ability to make energy and repair. Right. It lets people sleep better. But here's a picture I really like. We know this powerhouse of a cell. I always think, what would life be like no matter where you live without electricity? Oh, it'd be miserable. Right. I could not imagine living in the desert of Arizona in the summertime without electricity. I just couldn't imagine it. But in the body, when the mitochondria don't work right, literally these pictures on the right-hand side, this is what actually happens with them. Like we have all these conditions and diseases that nobody wants to get because they're not treated, they're managed, right? So we're not managing conditions, we're activating systems, right? And if we can activate those systems, then the body's mitochondria, like so if NRF1 is activated, the body mitochondria you have work better, and the body can make new ones. Right, which means there's better power being delivered in the right ways to your cells. And a lot of the current research in relationship to how and what's a lot of information and money being put into mitochondrial research for this very reason. Okay, then there's what's called protandim NAD. And I was just I'm trying to think how the easy way to describe this. And I was just kind of looking something up. I'm going to read this to you because I think it's quite powerful, and I'll send this to you, Brenda. NAD, protandim NAD, regulates what's known as the sirtuins. Okay, sirtuins are a family of proteins that play a role in aging by regulating cellular health. So think about it as a regulator cellular health. They're responsible for critical biological functions like DNA expression. So your map, right? And aspects of aging. However, and here's the key, however, sirtuins can only function in the presence of NAD, okay, which is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, which is a coenzyme. So that's key is with what the conversation that I'm going to have with you right now. So the way I look at any protandim NAD is this. It is the mom of the cell. So when moms don't function well, how well does the house function? Like, it just doesn't. Like, we'd never let my dad be in charge around my house growing up. Like, it just, nothing would happen. He can go slay the dragon, do the work, but like all the other coordination that has to happen within the house, like if mom wasn't there, it was chaos. So the sirtuins, that's their job. There's 7 of them that regulate the conversation, the communications between the inside of the cell, the outside of the cell, intracellular and intermitochondrial, internuclear. That's his job, is to coordinate all those different activities to make sure things are being healed and repaired like they're supposed to, and also a term called autophagy, which is getting rid of stuff that is not supposed to be there. Bottom line, when people's sirtuin levels are activated appropriately, people have better focus and concentration, better mood and motivation, more physical energy. It helps that inflammatory response as it should. It helps maintain your healthy cholesterol levels and protect your vascular system. Like, the more you learn about this, the more powerful that it is. And the interesting thing out there that we understand when it comes to sirtuins and how powerful they are, there's only a couple ways to regulate them. So we know if you do caloric restriction, which is literally eating about 40 to 60% calories than what you're currently eating, we can upregulate the sirtuin levels in people by about 94%. Okay, when you take 2 of the protandim NAD, it upregulates the sirtuin by 100% in 24 hours. The other ones out on the market, and there's other ones out there, other what they call NAD supplements, which are basically supplements or supporters of that pathway. So think about, you're basically have a manufacturing assembly line and you're putting more product in, but there's always going to be some limiting steps in doing that. And it upregulates sirtuin by about 2% in a comparison study that was done. So much more effective to activate the body's ability to manufacture things than just support with supplements, okay? I failed to mention earlier, but this is key even in every one of these pathways we're talking about, because when you upregulate with NRF2, the end product of upregulation of NRF2, one of the huge antioxidants is an upregulation of glutathione by 300% intracellular, which is huge in all healing, especially nervous system healing and also muscle building. Like in detoxification, it's our primary cleaner upper, right? Detoxifier, right? But the same thing is true without sirtuin, that regulation doesn't occur. But here's what I think is even more impactful and more powerful, and it goes back to the point we were talking about earlier, is the power of having multiple specialties in one place communicating and coordinating together. So one of the things that was asked was, okay, which product is doing the magic, right? So what you'll see across the board here are different specific gene sequences and what their role or function is. So that NRF2 gene, NQ01, it relates to antioxidants and detoxification. The next one relates to inflammatory responses. So what they did was say, let's find out what happens inside the cell. So when you upregulate with protandim NRF2, that first gene you get a 40% increase in its ability to activate that gene. The way I like to describe this is think about like a rheostat and a light bulb, right? So right now you're at, if you're at 0, it's dark, and then 40%. And then when you put the tri-synergizer, so NRF1 protandim, NRF2 protandim, and protandim NAD, those three together, you literally get a 78% response. So think how much brighter. That's twice again as bright, right? So if you had to go find something, right, you want a dim light or a bright light. But look what happens in the next gene response. It goes from a 51% response, which is giant, which is why we've seen phenomenal results with people with the protandim NRF2. But when you combine them with the tri-synergizer, you're talking about a 1,600% difference. And then the same thing happened with NRF1, where you went from a 65 to a 90, and then at 71% to 120. And again, look at the other one. It went from a 12% to a 937, and the other one's off there. So what this reminded of when I saw this, I remember being at convention and they started talking about this, and it just reminded me again that when we can activate appropriately and we synergistically apply the right therapies, the right nutrition, the effect is not 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. It's 1 + 1 + 1 could be 21 or 200. My dad taught me from the time I was, early in doing massage and craniocerebral work. He says that the more right things you do at a time, the better response you get, which is why we call it the 6 steps to wellness. We were trying to combine all those different things together to literally unlock that combination lock in somebody so they could literally turn on. And that's what these products are doing intracellular, so that all the other stuff that we do physically or emotionally works that much better. Okay. So now the question becomes, what are you going to do with that knowledge? So those are the activators of the line, right? And then I'm going to kind of touch on the other products the company's made and why they're so powerful. So I wouldn't be here if it was the protandim NRF2. Some people had talked to me about that, but I wasn't open. What opened me up is what I saw in that little boy. It's really because of this. The little boy came in, his mom came in with him, and he says, you know what? He's starting to notice he's different. And she said, he came up to me and he said, Mom, I just want to be smart like my brother. Right. And again, it's one of those aha moments for me personally, is like, I'm doing everything I can, the best I can. I mean, Mom is like pouring tons of time, energy, effort, and money into this kid. We're getting small little changes, but is this the best it's going to get? Right. I'm doing everything, and we've sent him to different places, doing a bunch of different things. When he started the Axial and his mom put him on it, his mom, Carrie Williams, was a part of Life Ed, and she'd already built a significant business. So she had time and financial resources to pour everything she could into him. And literally, she's the one that was at the pre-launch of the Axial. She heard a cardiologist talk about it, said, this is truly NRF2 activation for the brain. And she said, everybody should be taking it. She started him on it. 11 days in, he came into my office, had the best day I've ever seen him have. It literally, to me, it was a 50% improvement in his behavior and in his learning. And he was recalling stuff that he had been taught years previously. It's like all of a sudden the switches started coming on where he could get the expression out. That led to me looking at the company. And one of the people that I put on these products was my nephew, and this is his handwriting. So that handwriting on the left was before he started becoming activated. So here's what he was like. He was 9 years old at the time. He's one of those kids that always had to stay in for recess because he just never finished his homework. He didn't play well with others, so he wasn't typically picked when they did sports or things like that because he just didn't play well with other kids. His mom, after having a conversation with her and her dad, they started him on the protandim NRF2 and the Axial. 2 weeks later, that was his handwriting. But at the same time, he went from being one of the last kids in the class done to one of the first kids in the class done. So it didn't have enough time to change the structure of his brain, but the light bulb went on where the cell communication happened differently, right? So you think of, and so when I think about this little boy, I think about who does he think he is? What do you think he's capable of doing if his brain stayed like he was on the left, versus what does he think he's capable of if his brain activates and works like it's on the right? Right? And how many people do we know that are walking around our planet right now that literally think this is the best it's going to get? Like, this is the best it's going to get. No wonder we see so many suicides, unfortunately, because they think that's the best it's going to get. There's no hope. And that, whether that's a physical hope, like I said, this is the best I'm ever going to feel, or this is the best I'm going to ever get job-wise, or this is the most money I'm going to make, this is the lack of hope. So what we really are kind of dealers of hope, that there's a possibility. But what if this could happen to some of those people we know, love, and care about? So let me show you a couple of other things that happen. This picture right here is the picture of Luke, the Kerry Williams' son's test scores. And so what this was, is a second year in preschool at a really good preschool, and he still didn't know his alphabet, didn't know his letters and numbers. And that's what this shows. He's number 18 over here, and that little bump, that's because he knew a couple, and there's none on this one. So he didn't recognize hardly anything. And this is, again, at a year after me seeing him every week. A year of doing 35 hours plus almost 2 years of that doing 35 hours of therapy, right? A year of doing it at a preschool. So it's not the information wasn't going in, but it wasn't clicking, it wasn't coming back out. So 6 months later, this was retested, and he was at the top of this class. The only difference was with the Axial. The Axial for him addressed the brain fatigue. So for years, I had treated fatigue from a body perspective, and I know neurology really well, and we talk about nervous system fatigue, but I didn't get it. And the fact is, what if we could address mental fatigue with Axial? And that's literally why we saw him make that drastic jump in where he's at. And today, 5 years later, guys, he's in a normal school. They don't know his diagnosis, and he's like in the top, 1% of his class. Not because his brain is physically changed. Same cool brain. He learns very differently, is incredibly intelligent, but his brain is communicating like it's supposed to. And that's the difference. So at the foundation of a lot of this relates to the probiotic. Everybody on the planet should be on a probiotic. So why is this one different? I don't know if anybody on the planet shouldn't be on a probiotic, right? So this one here is a time-release one. So it's literally going to be 12 times more effective than one that's not, because it's go throughout the whole intestinal tract. And it also has a thing in it called well immune. So I would say probably 90+% of autoimmune conditions, maybe even more than that, start in the intestinal tract. There are a few other ones that maybe start different ways from something, but typically most autoimmune processes start in the intestinal tract. So all probiotics, which I've made my own and we've used them for years, we lose the vast majority of the stomach acid. Because this was an spherical shape with the time-release BioTrack technology, you take it and it literally goes throughout the whole intestinal tract and breaks down over a 6 to 8 hour period. And combine it with a product called Well Immune that literally helps to regulate the immune system response. We don't want the immune system being overactivated, and we definitely don't want it underactivated. The main treatment methodology today for autoimmune conditions medically is to suppress the immune system, which we know has all sorts of consequences down the road. But what if we could regulate the communication system that's gone array inside the intestinal tract and the immune system? What might happen? Well, what might happen is the same thing that happens in a relationship where the communication's gone bad, right? The rate is going to start communicating, coordinating, and healing, right? I was using 3 different products to address this. And really gut dysfunction relates to all those things on the right, whether we're talking about brain health, immune health, joint health, adrenal health, skin health, it all relates. Okay. There's also an omega-3 fatty acid. And I think every person on the planet needs to be on omega-3 fatty acid. To me, omega-3 fatty acids are just like this. It's the walls and windows of your house. Okay. Every cell has a wall around it, and it's made of omega-3 fatty acids. So if you aren't taking omega-3 fatty acids, your body can't have good walls, windows, and doors, and it cannot have good hormones. After doing thousands of lab tests on people, the only people I ever see have normal omega-3 fatty acid levels are ones that are on fish oils. Now, I think it's possible I'm going to see somebody that's just got a really good variety diet, like a lot of cold water fish and stuff that does have normal levels. I haven't seen it yet, but it could happen, I'm sure. Okay, but what you've seen on this picture here is a picture of the different products that are tied to nutrigenomics, right? Where there are unique industries or areas of that people are already utilizing products in that we can apply this science to. So NRF2 technology for skin, that's the true science from the top left. You can see the picture of this individual and the change in the skin over time of using that in that 60 days, right? I started using this drastically after seeing one of the studies on melanoma and watching my grandparents and my dad both take skin cancers off their bodies. So I'm like, you know what? I want to take it inside, but I'm gonna put it on outside. I haven't used shaving cream in over 5 years because I've been using like this products. Hair care, right? They have NRF2 technology for hair, right? And everybody's using some type of products, but most of them aren't clean. You can do what's called the Think Dirty app, and you can see how clean these are because we need new clean products. But I want that NRF2 technology to be applied inside my body, on the outside of my body, and also my hair. Then there's a weight management system. We know we need good things, good support to help people lose weight and keep it off. Again, Nutrigenomics tied to burning the abdominal fat through activation of gene responses, specifically in the liver of the abdominal tissue. Okay, and there's a PET tandem for animals, right? PET tandem is the NRF2, but for animals. I mean, this is a big, big deal. And the fun thing with animals, they don't have all the other stress we do. So you put it in them and you watch magic happen. It's a blast to watch. And when I look at this, think of all the lives or people you could touch, right? At the end of the day, when somebody has arthritis, it's not the arthritis that bothers them. It's what the arthritis is keeping them from doing that bothers them. Okay, it's not the depression that bothers them. It's what the depression is keeping them from doing that bothers them. Right? They can't live the life they're designed to live, right? And so what we now have is a way to help people heal, repair, function better than ever before. Now, one thing that I didn't realize is that I was comfortable in my practice and I was good at it, but there was a portion of me was kind of frustrated with the whole idea of running my practice and at the same time just feeling like it's the same thing again and again and trying to get ahead, right? So I always thought that I would practice for 30 years like my dad, and then I'd go into teaching and training physician like I had. Because I was good at it, I'd done it for a long, long time. It was just comfortable for me. Well, God had a different idea in mind for me, right? So when I saw that little boy had that massive change, I knew I needed to share the product, like, because I knew that people needed this, but it was tied to a network marketing company, and I'd been teaching for multiple companies. So I was about to embark on this journey I thought I'd never do, right? Because I had my misconceptions of what I thought that looked like, okay? But at the same time that happened, one of the companies my dad was teaching for let him go without notice. And so his main source of income went away overnight. So here's my dad in his late 60s, and his income is gone, right? And I'm like, I'm not going to spend another 20 years helping to build up an income for you in hopes that someday it'll be there for me and I can take it over. I already done that, okay, twice. Then right after that, I broke my knee playing basketball. So I had a hyperextension injury playing ball. That's just what I like to do for fun. Cracked my tibial plateau. I called my brother's orthopedic surgeon. He said, you need to get an MRI. I didn't want to, right? Because I didn't want to know. I thought, well, it's just injured. I'll be okay. I'll get over it, right? It's just a sore or something or other. Well, I'm still hurting like crazy. I'm hobbling around for 2 weeks, not taking a day off work because I have 4 kids. I got to practice. Like, I can't stop working, right? MRI comes back and my brother said, you need to be off it. I said, well, what's my next option? Because that's not going to work, right? So I just worked through it. Right? I did the best I can, right? Because I didn't have a plan B. Didn't have a plan B in place to where I could take that time off. I had disability insurance that kicked in 3 months, right? It would, basically a lot less than what I currently live on, right? And so I started looking at the business because I knew at this time I was already seeing some people's life change. I'd watched it change. And I said, how do you do this business, right? I found myself on a plane to South Dakota a couple of weeks before I broke my knee, met some of the people involved in the business and saw what Carrie had built, that she had this team of people that just were out there helping people, changing lives. And she'd built the residual income stream up of, at that point, well over $40,000 a month, whether she did anything or not. I'm like, it took my dad and I 17 years to build into we was making 40 grand a month. So I'm like, okay, I'm not great at math, but 5 years is definitely shorter than 17 years. But I didn't understand how to do it. So when it comes to network marketing or really any business, it's about timing. I love traditional business, grateful that I've had that training into it, but I'm also super grateful for network marketing. And here's a couple of reasons why. When you look at the timing of a business, timing is super, super critical. So right now in LifeVantage, we're less than 80,000 distributors worldwide. There's just over 1 million people that have been on the product. And you think how many millions of people there are. And we just talked about a technology that nobody knows about. So the way I view this is someone just gave me the rights to the iPhone. Nobody knows what it is, so it's going to take a little explanation of what this thing is and how it works. Okay, but once they understand the power of what it's going to do and how it's going to change people's lives, I can go share people with it. And when they buy the phone, they pay me. And when then somebody else uses the phone every month, they pay me a little bit. But I can also go recruit other people that want to share the phone with other people and help them sell the phone. And I make a portion of that. Okay, all why I get to help people get more of what they want. That's the same thing this is, but in the health field. So to give you an idea where we're at in the company, we just launched that Protandim NAD, right? We now have a much more clear understanding of what these products are doing synergistically for us. We have 20 products tied to multiple niches that people want, need, and there's never been a better time, in my opinion, for network marketing, because people are looking for other ways to generate revenue that they can do and fit into the nook and crannies of their life. Because most of us have to have a day job until we can figure out a way to do something else, right? Because who wouldn't want to be able to just make money while they're asleep, okay? Doing something that they love. So right now in network and LifeVantage, we're still early majority of people that are just starting to learn about this. Eventually, we're going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. The reason why I believe that is that one drug, that relates back to the Tecfidera, the MS drug, that's a $12.5 billion drug globally. Protandim outperformed it. And at that time, we didn't even understand what Protandim really did. And now we have multiple products in multiple industries that literally are activating G sequences relationship to how in which the body functions. And we have the leadership and the corporate structure set in place where all we got to do is tell the story and help change people's lives. So people get to choose. They could be a customer or distributor. If people want to be a customer, I said, great. In my practice, here's what I do. I just say, hey, you know what? This is what I recommend you do. This is what me and my family take. I personally am going to take these for life. This is the best thing that I know that's out there. Now, if there's something else that that would be new or different, then you know what? I'm probably going to take those things too, right? But here's what I know as being part of the Scientific Advisory Board, we are already looking at what is missing or what's next, right? So Protandim NAD, it took them a couple of years to develop because they were looking at it, but they want to do the due diligence to make sure it was the right fit for us, right? So we're part of that process. It's going to continue to grow and expand, and then we can help more people have it, utilize it, and bring new and better things to market that people need and want. But now it's not just me telling the story, it's me and thousands of other people that are telling the story. And then they get to choose, do I want to take the product, or do I want to take the product and do the business, or I just want to wait, right? There are people that don't want this. They want the flip phone. That's their choice, right? You can't stop technology. You can only adapt to it or run from it. So with this same thing, it's just how soon do you want to start biohacking? Do you want to do it now when you may not need to and you only want to, or do you want to wait till you have to, right? That's kind of the choice. But if you're someone like me, when you start seeing the results you're seeing and you see the vision of what this company is, being a distributor makes sense. There's 3 different ways to get involved in the company, and it all relates back to how much investment you want to put in and how many products you want to start with. For me, I got the Platinum Pack. It gave me the most discount. It gave me the most product, so I could use for me and my family, all right? But I also knew from a business perspective, $1,000 one-time investment would be the cheapest investment I think I've ever made in a business, okay? And that's what the Platinum Pack is, and it comes with all products, like almost $1,700 worth of product, okay? So that's what I did, right? But I didn't understand how the business, so I needed help. So Carrie Williams introduced me to a bunch of different people, got me reading a bunch of different books. I'd read tons of science, tons of leadership to what I did as a clinician, but I hadn't studied the business of network marketing. And what I found out is there's super cool business that allows me, the harder I work, to create more money for me and my family. And the more I help other people have success, the more money that they make. So there's 6 ways you get paid. The more people you introduce, the more people start the product, you get paid. The more people you help be successful with the business, the more money that you make, the more money they make, right? And the culture that this creates is a culture of sharing. One of the things of the compound I really like is the bonus poem, which it basically reserves 4% of global revenue to be shared within the top leadership. So which means, even though a lot of you aren't directly on my team, they're Brenda's team and Linda's team, is that I've had Brenda help me at times to share her story. I'm more than happy to share my story, and we can then record this video and share it with other people, right, to change other lives. But the company reserves 4% to split between the leaders. So it doesn't matter what group or team you're part of. Every time that someone buys a product anywhere in the world today, I make a small fraction of a penny on that. Imagine what that looked like at $1 billion. We're a $250 million company. One of the cool things about this company being that publicly traded, you can truly look and see what people are making, right? And what's fun about, and I think about even who's on here, like all the different personalities of people, right, that probably would have never been in business together before. There's no way in my practice would I have had an HR rep, right? I'm just not that big, okay? And I'm probably not gonna have an orthopedic surgeon in my practice, right? Could, right? So you have all these different walks of life with all these different skills and qualities are working together. So this is an income disclosure statement. And what you'll see on this sheet is what down the left-hand side says their paid rank. So a Pro 3 is somebody that their group is having $5,000 in product moving through their group every month, okay? So what the monthly average on that is 636 extra bucks a month. So think, how many people do you know that would love to make an extra $630 a month? But if you look at that over a year period, that's like $7,200 plus a year. When's the last time you got a pay rate of $7,200? I knew in my practice clinically, to bring home an extra $7 grand a year, I'd have to do something different or work more, okay? A Pro 5 is someone that brings an extra $3,000 home residually. So residual income is the opposite of a residual bill. It's the opposite of a mortgage. So if you have a house or an apartment, you pay to keep it every month, okay? A residual check is something you make every month based on work you did in the past. So real estate, if you own a place and you hopefully you make more money than you spend every month on it, you get some type of residual check, okay? That's what we're creating with this. So a Pro 6 in the company, Brenda and Randy, Pro 6, right? Extra $6,200 a month, right? So think about how long someone would have to work in a 40-year career and how much money would they have to put away to make $6 grand a month based on their investments, or even a pension. My father-in-law, with a firefighter paramedic, worked for 25 years. And literally after 25 years, I think his pension is about $3,500 a month. I created that in less than a year, right? I did it through learning through other people how to build this and helping other people have success. I'm a Pro 7 in the company right now, so that's $12,000 extra a month, which then what that allowed me to do a year and a half ago was to sell my practice, to focus more on this. So I get to treat patients a couple of days a week, not have the stress of managing a practice anymore, go in and treat patients the way I want, refer them over to the other practice if they need more care, and I can go out and build this business with other people. Carrie Williams, that I told you, got me involved with this. She's a Pro 9 with the company, makes well over $50,000 a month residually. Bath and Body Works store manager, right? So the secret sauce is the combination of what we have synergistically. The products with the science that work tied to unique industry, the people, the mentorship, the leadership, the trainings, things like this allow us to implement that into our practices or our life, and then the compensation plan. That synergistic blend allows me to take what my passion is, which is helping more people. And I tell you, it fills me so much up. Like last time I'm at a meeting, and this lady stands up, and literally her son passed away several years ago at the age of 27 with melanoma. And after that happened, she literally went in a depressed state, right? For a long time, just not able to just restart in life. And I remember when my sister passed away at 18, how that at 18, how I was 18 and she was 20, how that affected my parents and how just trying to get back into life. And this lady was telling this story last night about just how the products, when she started taking it, just felt like, she said, just like some switches started going on inside of me. I started feeling better. I started thinking clearer. I just started coming back out of myself of who I was, right? So cellular stress, it doesn't matter if it's physical or emotional, it still does the same biochemical thing that gives us those feelings. She says, now, you know what? And she has a lot of money. Like she's very well off, they have very successful businesses, but she's inside, she's like, I want these products in me because I know what they've done for me, but I want other people to have them because I don't want them to have to suffer like I did. And I want them in my family because we had no idea my strapping 20-year-old son had melanoma. It was nothing we could see. His blood work was normal. And said, I want them in people's body just because I know that they're just stuff that we don't know. At the same time, she says, I would love to not have to have my kids go through what I had to go through to build a business. If there's other ways to do it, I'd love to do that. And so that's what we're doing. We're looking for key people who want the product. Please take the product. Like, get it into your life, be consistent. Just like exercise affects your cumulative. Just like diet, they affect your cumulative. The products only work when they get in you. But if they do that and they combine it with the other right behaviors and habits, it's going to change what they're able to feel, and then it's going to change what they're able to do, and then it's going to change how they can live. And then we're looking for people that want to share the business, right? They want to go out there and create impact, take their passions, right, to do more, to be more, and then to help other people get the thing that they want as well. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is about, the relationships we get to keep. So that's an overview of everything. So I'm grateful that you give me a chance, Brenda, to share a little bit of my passion. I'm grateful we recorded this, so then I can pass this on to the people. You guys have an amazing group out there, so you're part of a great team.
You're welcome to come visit anytime.
Oh, you and Gary's. I've already had my road trip today. I'm good for now.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.